Hey everyone, welcome back to Story Drop. I found one this week about a woman who caught her cheating partner. Instead of blowing up at him, she went quiet and built a case like a detective. The ending is so clean, it honestly made me sit back in my chair. Let me get into it. Okay, so here's what happened. There's a woman in this story, and I'm gonna call her Mara. Mara had been with her partner for 6 years. I'll call him Ryan. 6 years is a long time. That's shared furniture, shared friends, a shared life, and Ryan was cheating. Not once, not a slip. He was on dating apps, hooking up with people, and he did it while she was overseas on a recent trip. He'd also been doing it for a solid year before that. Here's the part that made my stomach drop. It wasn't even the first time. Mara says it flat out. She knows. She stayed after the first time. She tried to forgive him, and she's honest that it never worked, and she calls it learning the hard way. Okay, hold on. I have to stop right here. I'm not going to pile on her for staying. You guys know how that goes. When you love someone, you tell yourself the story that they've changed. She already knows. She said shame on me herself. So, we're not doing that. We're just going to watch what she does next, because what she does next is something else. So, back to it. Here's how she figured it out the second time. Ryan got sloppy, but in a specific way. He started going through her phone constantly. Every time she put it down and turned her back, he'd pick it up and start scrolling, trying to catch her doing something wrong. And that's the tell, right? People who cheat assume everyone else is cheating too. They see their own guilt everywhere. He was so sure she was hiding something that he couldn't stop looking. Mara noticed, of course she noticed, but she didn't say a word. She just smiled. She carried on like everything was normal. She made him breakfast, she asked about his day, she acted like the most trusting girlfriend in the world, and the whole time she was watching him back. One day she came home and caught him deleting apps off his phone. Quick, guilty little swipes. Delete, 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 before she could get a good look. Most people in that moment start the fight. They say, "What are you deleting? Show me your phone. Who is she?" Mara didn't. Mara had a different idea. And this is where the story turns from sad into something you've never heard before. So let me tell you what she did. Mara decided that two people could play this game. If he wanted to snoop, fine. She was going to out snoop him. And she was going to do it with a level of patience that honestly scares me a little. She downloaded every dating app she could think of, all of them, onto her own phone. Then she signed up using his phone number. Think about how bold that is. When you make a dating account, they text a verification code to the phone. So she'd start a login, the code would get sent to Ryan's phone, and she would grab his phone while he wasn't looking, read the code, and type it in. Then she was inside his account on her own phone. She did that for account after account. I'm sorry, the nerve of this is incredible. He's over there thinking he's a criminal mastermind, and she's quietly cloning his entire secret life onto her device. And what did she find? Her words? A gold mine. Every affair, every conversation, every match. It was all there, and now it was all mirrored on her phone. So she started documenting screenshots of everything. Every flirty message, every plan to meet up, every lie he told these women. She built a folder. She was patient about it. She wasn't collecting this to confront him. She was collecting it to leave him, which is a completely different energy. And here's the detail that got me. She set it up so that whenever Ryan got a new match or a new message, her phone would ping too, same second. So they'd be sitting on the couch together, and his phone would buzz, and her phone would buzz, and she knew exactly who it was. He had no clue. He thought she was clueless. In fact, he had a cover story for his own phone going off so much. He told Mara that all those messages were from his sick mother. His poor sick mom blowing up his phone. So Mara just nodded along. "Oh, is your mom okay? So sweet of you to check on her." Meanwhile, she's watching a message from some woman named whatever come in on her own screen at the exact same time. Okay, wait, I need to react to this for a second. Can you imagine the patience? I could not do this. I would have cracked on day one. I would have thrown the phone across the room. The fact that she sat there, smiled, and said, "Tell your mom I said hi," while she's got the receipts pinging in her pocket. That is a different breed of calm. But she wasn't just collecting screenshots. She was also very quietly building her exit. She started downsizing her belongings. Little by little, so he wouldn't notice things disappearing, she started looking for housemates. She looked at properties she could move into. She even prepped her share of the final cleaning for when the lease ended. All of it silent. All of it while she's still sleeping in the same house as this man. And on the intimacy side, whenever things headed that direction, she'd say she was just too tired, night after night. She slowly pulled herself back from him. She stopped chasing his attention. She stopped begging for affection the way she used to. And that, weirdly, is what started to rattle him. So here's where the dynamic flips, and it's fascinating. For years, Mara had been the one trying, the one seeking approval, wanting affection, wanting to be chosen, and Ryan had gotten used to that. He liked it, he had the power. Now, suddenly, she wasn't chasing anymore. She was calm. She was busy. She was matching his energy instead of pouring herself out for him, and he could not stand it. The more she pulled back, the more he tried. He started putting in effort, real effort, out of nowhere because he was confused. The person who used to need him didn't seem to need him at all. But when the effort didn't get the old reaction, he switched tactics. And this is the ugly part. The nasty comments started up again, the little digs, the bullying that chips away at your self esteem piece by piece. He was trying to tear her down so she'd shrink back into the small, submissive version of herself he could control. Mara's response, nothing. She acted like she didn't even hear him. He'd say something cutting and she would just carry on with her day like the words never landed, no reaction, no fuel. And honestly, that's the smartest thing you can do with someone like that. A person who bullies you for reaction is starving without it. She just stopped feeding him. While all this was happening, she was rebuilding her real life. She reconnected with the friends she'd pushed away. And here's a detail that stings. Those friends had been warning her to leave Ryan for a long time, tirelessly, she says. She'd neglected them, probably because he wanted her isolated. Now she was calling them back one by one. And she worked. She worked her tail off, saving up for the bond and the moving costs, every dollar toward the door. Ryan hated all of it. The new routine, the new friends, the new distance. He could feel the ground shifting and he couldn't figure out why. Then the timing lined up perfectly. Ryan had a work conference coming up. He'd be gone. So Mara signed a lease on a new place. She took 2 days off work, and the moment he flew out to that conference, she moved. She packed her stuff, all of it, and she left without a single word. No note, no goodbye, no final screaming match. She just walked out of that house and closed the door. But she wasn't done, not even close. Once she was out, she sent him everything. Every screenshot she'd been quietly stacking up for all those weeks, the whole folder. Dropped it on him with no message attached. Then she blocked him. Everywhere. Gone. And then, this is the part, she went to the apps. She messaged every single one of the women Ryan had been seeing. She explained the whole thing, that he'd told them he was single or that he was in an open relationship and that the entire time he had a partner of 6 years at home. She laid it out for all of them. Most of them were horrified they ended things with him on the spot, and a lot of them, in her words, went absolutely off at him. Okay, I have to stop because this is the moment. She's gone. He comes home to an empty house. His phone is exploding with furious women who just found out he used them. His partner has vanished with a full case file, and there's nobody to yell at because she blocked him. This is the one point in the story where I want to ask you guys directly, if it were you, would you have done the silent exit like she did? Or would you have needed to say something to his face first? Because I go back and forth. Part of me needs the last word. But the silence here, the just gone, is so much louder. Tell me in the comments where you land on that. Alright, so let me tell you how he tried to spin it. So 4 days go by. 4 days of silence for Mara. And then his mother calls her, frantic. Now, remember, this is the same sick mom who supposedly had been texting him nonstop. Turns out she was fine. But Now she's on the phone, and she is not calling to apologize. She's calling to get Mara to take Ryan back. And she pulls out every card. She said he was in a really dark place and couldn't cope on his own. She said he couldn't afford the house by himself, that he'd be evicted with nowhere to go on such short notice. She said Mara leaving made him miss his flights, ruin his big presentation at the conference, and now his job was looking at firing him. In other words, look what you did to him. And Mara stayed calm. She didn't argue. She just sent his mother the screenshots. All of them. Then she said simply that she owed him nothing, that this man never respected her, that he didn't deserve notice or a heads up or a polite negotiation to help him out of the mess. He built this. He needed to accept it. And you cannot behave the way he behaved and expect no consequences. That line. He created this and he needs to accept accountability. So, clean, no yelling. Just the truth handed over with the receipts attached. And she says something in here that I think is the whole key to the story. He's 99% sure Ryan would have preferred that she screamed at him that she lost it, because then he could play the victim. He could tell everyone his crazy ex went off the rails, painted her as unstable, made himself the poor guy who got attacked. But she never gave him that. She stayed calm the entire time, so instead of her looking unhinged, he looked unhinged. To his friends, his coworkers, his whole family, he did that to himself. But here's where it goes to another level. That weekend, Maura actually met up with his parents. His mom came and she brought his dad too, just to talk, and they compared notes. They sat down and lined up all the lies. All the times Ryan said he was one place when he was really out on a date with someone. All the inconsistencies about where he'd been. They connected the dots together, and his own parents were horrified. Then, more truth came out. His parents pointed out that Ryan had never once bought them a gift. Not a birthday, not a holiday, not a Mother's Day or Father's Day present. His entire life, never. And here he was throwing serious money at random women to impress them. They could not wrap their heads around it. And that sick mother story, it gets worse. His mom had been sending him money specifically for therapy appointments. Mara didn't even know about this. Ryan had been taking that money, the money meant to help him get better, and spending it on lavish dates, on drugs, and on alcohol. Oh, and the job. Remember he was supposedly about to get fired because of her? He didn't get fired? All that really happened is he had to pay for a second return flight out of his own pocket because he skipped the first one. That's it. The rest was a story to guilt her. So his parents made a decision. They cut him off all of it. The financial help with his bills, his insurance, his debts, done. They decided he was going to live through the consequences of his own choices for once. He's a grown man in his mid-30s, and they were tired of him acting like a helpless teenager. And Tamara, they were kind. They kept apologizing for their son, even though none of it was their fault. They even offered to help furnish her new place because she didn't have all her appliances yet. She said no politely, but she thanked them for offering. Their next plan is to try to get Ryan into rehab to clean himself up, okay? So here's where I land. I think this is one of the most satisfying walkaways I've ever read, and the reason is the calm. She never gave him a villain to point at. She just gathered the truth, set it down in front of everyone who mattered, and walked out the door. He spent 6 years thinking she was the naive one. She was 10 steps ahead the whole time. And the cleanest part, she didn't have to convince anyone he was awful. His own words did it. His own parents did it. All she did was stop protecting him from himself. That's it for this one. Thanks for hanging out with me and hearing it through. Now, I want to know where you stand. Was the silent exit the perfect move, or would you have needed to say it to his face? Drop your take in the comments. I read them, and I'll see you in the next one.